Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly, guys. We got an awesome episode for you here today. We got that huge Spider-Man trailer that dropped and probably about just over an hour ago. And all of a sudden when that trailer dropped, we were like, well, we got to change our show title and talk about that. So we're going to be definitely talking about that in a little bit. Of course, I have the wonderful Cat Comic Uno here next to me.
Hello, guys.
And she's here, and we're definitely getting Brant. He just told us that he's running a little bit late. So once he gets on here, we'll be talking about Spider-Man. So hang on tight. We'll talk about the trailer, maybe some theories, characters that are in there, lack of characters that we were expecting to see that are not in there. So hang tight with us, guys. And once Brant is on, we'll start talking about it. So until then, until Brant comes on, we will talk about something else real quick. So bear with us, okay?
Yeah. Well, first let's start talking about the thing that was announced today that there's going to be a new Sorcerer Supreme ongoing series. So obviously we don't know who the Sorcerer Supreme is yet, but we know we're getting a full series with them, which is pretty cool. It also makes me feel like I don't need to read Death of Doctor Strange because I did drop it and I was like, oh, maybe I'll read issue 5 just to find out who it is. But I'm like, okay, if they're gonna have a whole ongoing series, maybe I could just wait for that.
Who do you think it is?
Oh God. Who do I hope it is the better question. I would love it to be Magic. I think that'd be cool because I don't think the X-Men's been really utilizing her. I can see Wiccan just because they've been pushing him so much in like the recent year with Empire. Or it could be the Strange Academy character, but I don't know if that's too exciting for most people. Those are my thoughts.
I mean, my thought was I would like it to be one of the Strange Academy people because it would be something different. But it doesn't, I guess it doesn't really make too much sense when there's stronger, I guess, magicians out there. I guess that's what you want to call it. Like, say, a Scarlet Witch or a Magic. You know, it does make sense to make them one of the Sorcerer Supreme. I don't know else who I would really pick, though, besides that.
Yeah, I would love it to be like a Scarlet Witch just because she also doesn't have her own ongoing. Like we have to think like what's going to sell this book. But then you could say Jane Foster, who knew that would sell a book, right? When Jane Foster was revealed as Thor, and I loved that series, and I know a lot of people did. So maybe it's just a surprise. But I feel like this doesn't feel like the Mighty Thor surprise because they built that up so much. This is just like Death of Doctor Strange. Here's a random Sorcerer Supreme now.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Doctor Doom. That would be funny.
That would
Scarlet
definitely
Witch
be
would
very
be good
interesting.
too. I mean, I could definitely see it. I don't know if that just would be the too obvious one, right? I mean, they're making it such a big mystery.
Someone mentioned, which I would also love. I love Nico from Runaways to be Sorcerer Supreme, even though they never do it. I feel like if it was gonna be Nico, she would have been in the series already. Like I feel like they would have like highlighted something about Runaways, and I would love it to be Nico as like just a fan. I also don't know if a Nico book. Well, I don't know. Maybe a Nico book would sell. I'm not really sure. I love it to be Nico. Is definitely the answer on that one, but
I
I
think
don't
she's a
see
great
it happening.
character. I just
Mm.
don't know. I don't know if they would go that route though. You know, just because it's like I don't know how many people actually know her, and if people would be interested in buying her. I mean, I would, you know, but I don't know. We'll see.
So that's the Sorcerer Supreme stuff. We also have some Miles Morales what if books coming out. It looks like maybe he's going to be Wolverine. It looks like he's going to be Captain America. And I saw someone tweet out, like, why can't he just be the Amazing Spider-Man at this point? Which is true. Like, they're so scared to make him like a more flagship Spider-Man character that they're making him a what if Wolverine and Captain America at this point.
That is the weirdest mashup, but you know, people would be specking on that because they're hoping it to be the next Gwenpool. That's really what it would be. So it's like, oh, let's mix up two of the best characters in the Marvel universe, Wolverine and Spider-Man, but make it Miles Morales, Captain America, and mash it all up together. I mean, it's a cool little gimmick. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't work, or why wouldn't people at least check it out, right? So
I check out the Wolverine one. I don't know if I'll check out Captain America just because like I don't care about Captain America, but Wolverine
right.
sounds cool. It's yeah, we'll definitely see what ends up happening. It's interesting that Marvel they just did this mashup event like a year ago. I forgot what it was called. I didn't read it, but remember when they had like, oh, here's Magic being like Iron Man,
Wasn't it
and
like was that Infinity Warps or something like that?
Yeah, Infinity Warps. That's what it's called. And it didn't seem like it did very well. So I don't know why they're like, no, now we got to try with Miles Morales. And now it has to be a what if series. It's like, it
Right.
didn't quite work the last time. I don't know why you're trying to
Well,
do
I
this
feel like
again.
What If is a better selling point. I think it's a more popular series. So they're going to be like, oh, hey, what if we put What If on it? People love the show. People love those comics. People love Miles Morales and Wolverine. So let's put all that together and hopefully it sells, right?
Yeah, for sure. We do have a question
So,
from Sweet X. Oh, yeah.
I was
I
just
think we're
putting it
going to do
on
the same
there.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah, you can
guys
read it.
reviewing Superman issue 5? Or are you guys a week behind? So we're always a week behind when it becomes the DC Comics. Just
Just for
because
spoilers.
Justin, it's like, no, not everybody got their comics today, and that's actually us too. Like none
Mhm.
of us get our comics today. We always get them tomorrow. So everything that we discuss is always, I guess, when you look at it, DC's last week's comic books. So
Because also like if you're a Marvel and DC fan, or if you're an independent fan, it makes absolutely no sense to go to the comic book store twice a week. Like for me, my comic book store is like 20 to 30 minutes away. So that's a waste of gas. Like I'd rather just get it the next day, and I'm probably not going to read it until the next day. We have actually a couple questions. We have a super chat, so let me do that, and I'll get Mike Manhattan's question next. Hello, Kat. Hope you're doing fine. Thank you guys for the well wishes on the migraine. They are the worst, but I am doing a lot better. They normally just last a day. How do you feel about the MCU changing Kamala's powers from being a polymorph to having energy lantern constructs? We are going to talk about all the Disney Plus stuff, but I feel like people care a lot more than I do. If it's just a good show, I don't really care too much about where her powers come from or what they look like, unless they like look bad. But if they're a little different, I don't mind if just the character's the same.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Sometimes they're going to tweak things for the TV series to make it maybe something that they might think might work better, because she is more like an inhuman, right? And then the comic books, and then in the show, I think they don't want to touch anything that has to do with Inhumans, if you ask me, since it was such a failure. So they don't want to relate her to Inhumans.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense, and I'm kind of glad they're going that direction. We do have a question from Mike Manhattan. What are your thoughts on the Lightyear trailer? I mean, I'll see it. I love every Disney. Well, I don't love every Disney movie, but I love to go see every Disney movie. So I'll definitely see it. It looked cool. I like Toy Story a lot. This is very different. I love Chris Evans. But I don't know if the trailer gave me enough to say, oh, gotta go see that. It's just so
Right.
different. So I'm not really
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
The other thing was from Bear. I'm going to skip Tevia's question just because we are going to talk about like all the Disney Plus stuff later. So we'll discuss that soon. But Bear F says, what's your most excited new series / event coming up in the next few months? Mine is definitely Devil's Reign. If we're just talking about events, Devil's Reign for sure. If we're talking about series, I think is it this week where I can actually yeah, it's this week. So I'm going to actually go into the next news piece. The Mary Marvel comic looks so freaking good. The one where she's taking over being Shazam. The
How does
artwork
she
looks so
take it
good.
over though? Like, what happened in that book that has that power?
I don't know. I haven't been reading Shazam. I guess she still has the powers that she had before. Maybe Billy quits or something. I'm not sure. But that's like the artwork is the same artist who did, I think, half of Adam Strange. And anyone who works with Tom King usually is a great artist. So yeah, it just looks so cool. And I like that they're doing this college angle. So she's not really a kid.
Mhm.
That is the one I'm most excited for. But Mike, what event and what comic are you most excited for? And talk about Mary Marvel if you have any thoughts.
Well, Mary Marvel could be something that's cool, maybe a little bit different, I guess. I'll definitely have to read it to to see my if it is worth the read for me. God, I'm trying to think of what else comes out. I mean, obviously, I'm excited for Hulk that's coming out tomorrow. Finally,
I don't think it is coming out tomorrow.
I think it
I think it
is.
got
I
delayed
think it,
again.
huh?
Hulk issue 1. Let me see. 2021 comes out.
Or is it the
Comes out the
24th?
24th.
The
Yeah, so it
24th.
comes
That's
out
why
week
I
after.
did an anticipated video for that. That's why I got confused. So I'm anticipating the Hulk. I'm trying to remember what else is coming out. I don't remember.
I know it's so hard to keep up with everything. I'm excited for Robins. That comes out tomorrow, actually. So that's
I'm
gonna
not
be
that
good.
excited for that.
You're not excited? I just like
No.
Stephanie. That's all I care about, honestly.
I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm definitely looking forward to the Dark Reign event. But I'm curious what this timeless event is going to do in the Marvel universe, on what things it's going to change. Also, I can tell you that I am the 10 lives and 10 deaths of Wolverine, or whatever that is. That's kind of piquing my interest too, because I feel like I haven't really read a solid Wolverine book in quite a while. The one that Benjamin Percy's doing was just, I don't know.
Isn't it still Benjamin Percy, though, who's writing
It
this?
is,
That's
but
what
I think
worries
maybe
me.
he could have a cohesive, like a solid story here, you know? So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I just can't think of anything else on the top of my head. You know, I'm sure there's plenty that's going to come out, and I just can't remember.
And when we do our most anticipated, we'll chit chat about those when the time comes.
Yeah.
And the events are so hard because I usually don't like events at all. And Dark Reign's really the only thing that's piquing my interest as an event, because it's just like it's spinned out of something that was actually building up. I always think those are the best events. Like if you look at King in Black, if you look at War of the Realms, like those all were built into from an ongoing series and like was meant to be an event. More than just like, you know, something like Empire or I don't even know what recent events we've had. But you know, those are some examples of it. All right, let's go into the next thing. So we have Batman so I Am Batman, the Fox character, is moving to New York City. And if you guys don't know, which I'm sure you do, Gotham's based in like on New York City. So now we're just seeing the real New York City, which is, you know, interesting, I guess. But I'm not reading this character, so I didn't have too much of an opinion on it.
So is this an Elseworld tale?
No, it's like he's in the regular universe.
So he's literally leaving Gotham to go to New York.
Uh-huh. This is not Bruce, though. This is like the secondary Batman character.
This is the Jace.
Yeah, the Jace Fox character.
I don't know. It's stupid.
Yeah, I'm not reading it.
I don't need this Batman. So this is like the Miles Morales of Batman. This is basically what it is.
Yeah, because you have a second. Because like with Miles, you have a character named Spider-Man, and I think this character, I guess, is still called Batman.
Right. Yeah. And now he's living in New York too. So he's in New York with Spider-Man and Miles Morales, I guess. You know, I mean, it's funny. I don't know.
They appear somehow in the comic. We do have another super chat. So New Type JB says, but isn't removing the polymorph powers undermines the cultural clash / body identity issues that makes her origin story so thematically important? You know, I don't think we're the right people to commentate on it, but I'd love to hear, you know, Muslim Americans commentate on it and, you know, hear what they have to say about it.
I mean, and it will be interesting though to see like if they change her powers a little bit though, but like what's the true reasoning? Like I know we've heard like bits and pieces, but we won't really truly know exactly until the show actually comes out.
Which seems like it's going to be later than we thought. So,
yeah.
How would you feel about a new Batman trilogy? It was announced, but it's Dick Grayson as Batman, Damian Wayne as Robin. Like as a movie, I mean, I think that'd be really cool. I'm actually a little hesitant about the Robert Patterson, I think it is, his movie, just because we've seen this a billion times. So at least a Dick Grayson movie would be different.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't want to see it.
Yeah. All right, let's go into the next thing. Or did you have another comment?
No, I just wanted to say, just for the viewers that just came on, guys, we will be talking about Spider-Man as soon as Brant comes on. He's been he's running a little bit behind, so just hang tight with us, and we'll definitely get into that conversation, and also all the Disney Plus stuff that just was announced a couple days ago as well.
For sure, there's a lot to talk about there. But next up is Marvel celebrates Carnage's 30th anniversary. Well, Marvel's always celebrating something with Carnage, so here's another Carnage thing.
So it's a one shot basically, and what it is an anthology story. That's exactly what it is, and those are the ones that I'm never excited about because it's just how many different stories can you tell when it comes to Carnage and short stories? Those I'm not big fans of. You know, when you've had like when Immortal Hulk ended and you had one long story, that worked, right? Same with Spider-Man, one long story, that works. But when you have anniversary issues that are anthologies, that's probably something I'm going to pass. As much as I love Carnage as a character, I just don't need to read that stuff. You know, it's just like we had Carnage Black, White, and Blood or whatever the heck it's called. I pass on those because those are just throwaway books and I don't need that.
Yeah, I'm good unless it's like again like a character I'm like, "Oh my god." Like if it's a Spider-Man 80th anniversary or whatever and it's an anthology, I'll probably pick it up just cuz it's Spider-Man, but it's got to be it's like a top 5 character for me to pick up these anymore. All right, let's move on to speaking of Spider-Man, so Spider-Man has a new nemesis, a character that we've heard the name of, but they just switched it around. This is Queen Goblin instead of the Goblin Queen. Like the Goblin Queen's been around, but this is Queen Goblin now, and they're really, really teasing her to be like the next Green Goblin. So I'm curious to see exactly how she's going to put her name on the map because that's a big name and some big shoes to fill for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Peter Parker's not in the picture, so he can't fight the Green Goblin. So you got to fight the Queen Goblin versus Ben Reilly. So of course there's got to be a goblin facing some kind of Spider-Man in a Spider book, right? My thing is like I think it's cool. Where does she come from? You know, where does she get that tech? She's got to somehow be related to Norman in some way, shape, or form. Maybe some long lost kid. It
Another
can't
one.
be. I don't think it's Lily Holster that used to be Menace. I don't think it's her because she was recently in a Black Cat issue and she titled herself like Queen Cat or something like that or something weird like that. I don't know, but this definitely piques my curiosity. It's a 3-issue story arc. It is definitely a little bit of a story there that seems to be more serious. But I am excited for it because it is a different character.
Tabby actually
So
mentions a really interesting person. Liz Allen would be a really cool Queen Goblin. Like
why would she
I didn't
be? Why?
because they've been teasing some villain stuff with her. Not in the last, not the Nick Spencer stuff, but if you remember the Dan Slott stuff, they were always teasing some Goblin stuff with her. And obviously, being married to Harry, I think she
Mm-hmm.
wants revenge. I don't know. I think that'd be interesting. I don't know. I don't think it'll happen.
There's some other clone kids running around that are watch
I
you're gonna
hope
see.
not.
It's a
Oh,
clone and
we
it's a
just did it.
goblin.
Oh God, please no. Do we know who's writing that 3-issue arc? I don't think so. I don't think the article
It
said, but
it
maybe it did.
is I did a video on it on my channel. And I wrote the first issue comes out on February 2nd, which is my birthday. Um and then I think it's a mixture of writers. I think Patrick Gleason does the last issue. He does the writing and the art. And I think Patrick Gleason on the second issue is with Mark Bagley. And I don't remember who does the first issue. I don't know if
I
it's
mean, either way,
Severell.
it's gonna is it it's like, the writers that have been on the book, so they
Right.
don't
It's like,
really
yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, such a writing room standpoint that it's just like it doesn't really feel different when another person's writing it. It just feels like the same book so far. Do you have a question here? Jay says, how did you like Eternals? I should I say sorry that you saw it? I haven't seen it yet. I've only heard boring things.
So when it comes to Eternals, for me, it was my least favorite Marvel movie that I've ever saw. I thought I could appreciate the story that they were trying to tell, but however, the story was just too long. And it took too long to develop all the characters. So that's the issue when you have that's like saying, let me introduce the Avengers all at once. Where in Marvel, in the early phases, you got introduced to Captain America in its own movie. You got introduced to Iron Man in its own movie. So just imagine all those characters being introduced in one movie on where they came from, what was their relationships like, and all that other stuff. And then they all come together at the end to try to stop a sentinel. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. It just took too long to develop. And my biggest problem with the movie is that none of the characters I could get attached to. So, like, even though, like, say, Angelina Jolie's character was really badass and cool, right? She just, there's no personality in any of the characters. There's personality in maybe one character. And he wasn't introduced until maybe almost an hour and a half into the movie, where you get to see him. And that is my biggest issue with this movie, because it took so long to develop all these characters. And just when you think the movie is going to progress, it regresses, right? And it's tough. It's a very grand story that they're trying to put in front of you. And I think it's just a little bit of an overload, trying to learn about the Eternals, learn about every single character, who the Sentinels were. It's just very grand. And I appreciate the attempt. It was just like too much, just way too much. And then I don't know. We'll see what happens.
The trailers didn't interest me for it. I was just like, do I want to see this?
Because what you see in the trailer is just what you see in the movie.
Oh,
it's just like there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's very little action. And what action that you saw in the trailer, that's basically what you see in the movie. Like, that's what they fight. Okay. So, like I said, I love the 2 end credit scenes. I thought that they were really good, but we'll see what happens with it. You know, I mean, the characters are still there, and but it wasn't my favorite movie. I mean, listen, I never was into the Eternals to begin with, but I really also wasn't really into the Guardians of the Galaxy either. The two differences between the two movies is the characters are very entertaining in Guardians of the Galaxy, where in Eternals, a lot of those characters are just not entertaining at all. So that was probably my problem with it, you know. But I didn't hate the movie. That's just my critique of it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm gonna skip it for a little while, just because there's a lot of other movies coming out. We got I want to see House of Gucci. Obviously, we got Spider-Man. We got the new Disney movie coming out. I want to see Resident Evil for some reason, even though it looks, it's not gonna be good.
I want to see that. It looks like really like the video game.
Yeah. You have like Robbie Amell, somebody who's like more of a B or C list. I don't want to say actor, but he's just more like a TV actor. So it's just like an interesting cast. So, and it's also coming out. Well, it's coming out in November, so we'll see. I'm going to see it. I'm interested. We do have Brant on, so welcome, Brant, to the show.
Sir. Hey, guys.
We only have one more comic book news piece, so let's actually just finish it off, and then we'll get to the Spider-Man trailer. And then obviously, Brant, if there's any of the comic news pieces you want to talk about after we talk about this one, you could give your 2 cents. But the last one we have is Radiant Black is getting a crossover one-shot, but it's also expanding into other series. So Ryan Parrott, who does Power Rangers, which I love his writing, he's writing his own like Radiant Black in-universe superhero tale. And then we have that Kickstarter, I forget what it's called, Red Dragon or something, who's going to be crossing over in this world as well, which we kind of knew was probably going to happen because Kyle Higgins is the editor of that book, and he was like promoting it at the end of Radiant Black. But I love they're expanding this universe, and like Image Comics has like its own, Image cinematic universe of comic books, and I love all these creators, so I'm super stoked for this.
Yeah,
you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as I saw that Kickstarter, I forget what it's called too. I was trying to find it, Red whatever it was. It totally looks like it could fit into this universe. So I'm kind of excited about that.
And I'm sure that comic is going to be worth a lot of money now. The Kickstarter
Yeah.
comic, now it's going to be connected to Radiant Black.
I think it's really cool,
Yeah.
putting out Radiant Black in other places and having it cross over. And I just feel like those are pretty good grand plans there,
Inferno Girl Red, I think is what it was.
There
That's
go.
what it was. Yeah.
Knew it was red something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks really, really cool. And I'm so excited for more Radiant Black in general. But yeah, Brant, we talked about all the comic news pieces. So if there's anything on there you just really want to talk about before we get into the Spider-Man trailer, let us know.
Yeah, I'm curious who you guys think Queen Goblin is. That was really the one. Yeah.
We really didn't know. We're just like, Tevye said Liz Allen. I was like, that's interesting. But
that's who I was thinking.
Okay,
yeah,
so
that's exactly who I was thinking. Yeah, so because after finding the stuff in the wall that Harry had there and stuff, so that made me think, okay, that could be it. I think it's too predictable if it's Monster or Menace, like that article was saying. So I'd rather see something too.
But she was in the Black Cat story recently, and so it can't be her. I doubt it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's true. So I guess we'll see. But other than that, I mean, I guess I don't have a whole lot to say about the rest of the things. We can move on. It's fine.
All right. Well, let's get in. Yeah. Oh, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say, unless there's anything that you guys want my opinion on. But
I mean, I think the big one was definitely the Queen Goblin one. The other ones weren't too huge. Or, I mean, one question is, who do you want the next Sorcerer Supreme to be? We were kind of all over the map on that one, too.
Oh, man. I don't even know. Because it requires like this level of responsibility that a lot of, from a cool aspect, somebody like Magic, right? But from like a logical aspect, it would need to be somebody like, I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not well versed on the Magic side of Marvel as well as other areas. So, who did you guys want? Who did you guys think?
It's going to be
all over the map. Enchantress would be interesting.
That would be very. Yeah.
We said Scarlet Witch. We said Nico. We said Wiccan.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. We didn't say her, but that honestly, they've been building up, so they've done it.
I mean,
crazy.
I could see Zoe. Just because. If you think when Doctor Strange got it, he wasn't anything. He had to go like study and practice and all that. He had to go through this whole thing. But yeah, they probably want somebody more seasoned. Scarlet Witch. Yeah, I don't know.
We will see. We'll wait until I think issue 5. So I think we actually have like a month left to find out who it's going to be. But yeah, moving into that Spider-Man trailer, we are so lucky. We didn't know if we were going to be on the show when this dropped. We were very lucky it dropped right beforehand. So, the title of our show is that there's no Andrew, there's no Tobey, but there is a Brazilian trailer that supposedly the lizard's being punched by nothing. So I think, and also just like, come on, we know that they're going to be in this movie. It's stupid at this fact that, if anyone doesn't think they're in this movie, it just depends on how long and who else is going to be in this movie. I was actually thinking, because I was like, what would be the big moment of this movie? Because already Andrew and Tobey showing up, it'd be big just like see it, but it's not really like surprising because we know it's going to happen. But how about if Chris Evans shows up as the Human Torch and that sets up the Fantastic Four movies? Like, wouldn't that be crazy?
That would be crazy.
This was an interesting question, though, right?
She's not.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, are they doing the Gwen thing with her?
You don't know what she's contracted to be.
You can't kill off Zendaya. No.
I agree. I wouldn't listen. I don't want her to go.
Right.
But to throw that out there and to have people guess, like the scene almost looked identical to Gwen Stacy's fall when she was
also MJ too. MJ too, though, because she had a fall.
True.
She did have a fall. Because it looks like in this trailer, based off of what we see, is that Peter Parker is going in all to these multiverses and trying to save everybody, and he can't do it. I guess it looks like he's trying to save maybe Green Goblin or Doc Ock,
all the
villains all the villains from dying, and he can't do it. It's whatever's happening. It's inevitable, and he's holding that weight on his shoulders there.
Yeah, it was an interesting trailer because I think they just showed enough. They had the Green Goblin who we knew was going to show up. Some people think Harry showed up in the trailer, which does kind of look like him on the glider. We had obviously Dr. Octopus being like the main part of this. A lot of like the villains like Electro, Sandman. So I mean, I'm just super excited for this movie. Obviously all of us are Spider-Man fans here. Like,
Yeah.
we were just talking about Eternals. I'm like, I don't need to go see that, but I'm excited for Spider-Man. So I hope that there's surprises. That's my biggest hope, is that like I'm actually shocked when I go to the theater.
Yeah, I was getting really excited watching this, even though there wasn't like anything major or whatever. I was just like, because I'm such a big Spider-Man fan, I was like getting chills. I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this. I can't wait for this movie. So I'm excited too. And like you, I hope there's some surprises in it.
So there's a couple things in here. So it's kind of like, okay, obviously Doctor Strange is fighting Peter in this because of whatever he's trying to accomplish. You get to see that happening in here. And he like totally blames Peter for the mess up, because you can hear it in his tone of voice. Is Doctor Strange, or is he somebody else that we've kind of alluded to a couple of times? Yeah, Mephisto. Yeah. And then it's kind of cool because at the end of that trailer, you kind of see everyone from the multiverses coming through, kind of like how you saw in Loki, where you had the time streams breaking off, so that was very similar to that. That black suit, what is that black suit? It looks like it's a multiverse travel suit or something, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. It looked cool though.
Yeah, at first I was like, is this the metal suit? Because it kind of looked like that, the old classic metal one. But yeah, I don't know.
And
it's different.
And Electro looked more like Electro, but kind of not.
Yeah, it was definitely better than he was in the Garfield movie, though. So I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah, I hope they can redeem him.
When he used his powers, it seemed like he had the classic, hood on in there.
Right.
And then you got
that looked really cool.
The Dr. Octopus scene, which was funny as hell when they have him captured. And they're like, no, who are you really, Well, what else was in there too? So we got to see Sandman. So
Lizard.
He looked the same stupid big ass character that I didn't like him in Spider-Man 3. Like, why is he so gigantic? He doesn't need to be that big.
There's so many beaches in New York. There's a lot of sand. But the trailer looked cool. But don't you feel like the movie's coming out soon. Did we need another trailer? Like, it's coming out real soon. It's coming out in like a month.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think if they had given us something that we didn't know, like just a little tease, something, it would have been more impactful. But it's still cool seeing it, and it's getting that hype up, right before it drops, that kind of thing.
I don't think it needed its hype. I think people are going to go see this movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
People were anticipating that trailer, though. I just think when I clicked on it, it was like 50 million views in like 40 minutes.
So you know what's so interesting about this? I love the jokes that people are making on Twitter that they had an event to release this trailer. Like, people went to this event just to see this trailer. Right. I'm like, that's so stupid. But then you think about like Comic-Cons and stuff. That's kind of the same thing. It's just structured in a different way. But
yeah.
Plus, Comics says, I heard that the magic webbing from the black suit is what traps the villains in the box. So that's that. So that box, there was something significant with that box.
It's like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. You can put them all back in the box.
And he made that Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
That's hilarious. Love it.
That's funny. I heard there were 5 other trailers, though.
I think there are other trailers from different countries. So like that lizard moment that mostly everyone's talking about is from the Brazil trailer. That like he's being punched by nothing, and you could tell that's gonna be the third act. Like that lizard and Sandman and everyone coming up. It's like that's your third act of someone showing up, like an Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, which has pretty much been proven that Tobey Maguire is showing up. Like he's been hanging out with Zendaya, he's been hanging out with Tom Holland. Like come on. We know that he's at least going to show up. And then, Andrew Garfield's going to show up. I'm curious if we're going to get, like, a Miles Morales or Spider-Gwen. I think that would be some nice. That.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Somebody has got to show up in there that we're not expecting.
Yeah.
It has to. There's going to be something that they're leaving out that they're not leaking, you know?
Well, think about it. Sony owns Tom Holland's whatever after this. Like, if they bring a Miles Morales or Spider-Gwen, maybe the MCU could like get out of their contract in a little bit and like do those movies and do another set of like a trilogy with that character then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
What,
So who
what
knows?
did you think of Dr. Octopus? His arms look different. And Dr.
Yeah, they did.
He got like a red thing.
Yeah. Like, what do they do? Fix
Updated.
him up or whatever?
Who knows?
If
They have more
Miles Morales showed up in this movie, like real life Miles Morales, whew, that would be huge if he showed
It
up.
makes sense too, because we have these, you know, Young Avengers characters showing up. We got, you know, Kate's gonna be in Hawkeye. We got Cassie Lang that's gonna be in the next Ant-Man movie. We have Wiccan and Tommy. Like, we have all these Young Avengers characters. Like, Miles could fit very well into that.
Yeah, it'd be funny if it just switched to CGI for like the Miles Spider-Gwen into the Spider-Verse.
Oh my god!
I was literally thinking about that. Like, how about if you had a scene where it's like half animated and you just have those characters? That'd be wild. I don't know if I want to see that, but it could be interesting.
Right.
What are you hoping for out of this movie? Like, when it's all done and over with, like, what are you hoping for by the time it gets over?
I want the feeling I had when I watched Into the Spider-Verse. That's what I want.
Yeah, that, and I want to redeem the third Spider-Man movie curse. You know?
Yeah, I want Cat's Dream. I want Chris Evans in there as the Human Torch.
I just think it'd be so wild.
Only if we get Jessica Alba too, you know. Balance it out.
In there, we'll do that.
I would love to see Jessica Alba. I don't think we would see Jessica Alba, but think about it. There has been no announcements of X-Men and Fantastic Four. There's like a good way to do it in a way, you know. Like, okay, like what's the Fantastic Four?
I want to be surprised. I
absolutely.
want. Like, you know, we were just talking about like a great character to show up in this movie that nobody knew about. And when we get done with it, we're like, fuck, holy cow, I can't believe they just did that. Right. That's what I'm hoping for. Because
I'm seeing that Thursday night. I don't want to be spoiled. I'm going to see that right when I can see this movie. I will be there.
Think of if there was no internet and like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield did show up in that movie, right?
Yeah.
And of course you don't hear like there's rumors or leaks or whatever it is, or them on set and you know, on pictures and stuff like that. And you saw that, you'd be like, holy cow, I can't believe they're in this movie, you know? But we already know that the chances of them being in this movie is very, very, very high at this point, based off of all these images that everyone has seen and, you know, has speculated on at this point.
But even if it wasn't for that, you have all the villains from their movies. Let's pretend that we did not know that they were going to show up in this movie. We kind of already knew they could show up in this movie because of what the plot of the movie is.
Right.
So it's like, you know, it's not like such a huge surprise.
Yeah, they got to be leaving something out.
I hope this builds up to a new story for Marvel, because a lot of the new stories from Marvel has been from Disney Plus shows, you know, like that's, you know, Scarlet Witch and stuff like that. So I want the movies to have a big moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So
well, let's
Jeffrey Ryan Comics said he liked Electro. He said it looked great.
Yeah, for once, right? Let's get into our next topic here, which Brant wanted to talk about, the Obi-Wan sizzle reel.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. It's just kind of, you know, them talking and you know, kind of walking you through it. But I think it's cool that we're getting, God, I just lost his name. The guy playing Obi, what's his name? Ewan McGregor.
I don't.
Ewan and Hayden back. You know, I think that's cool. I want to see them square off again. So, and I like the way it framed it, that him protecting Luke was a starting point, and then we get to see that journey from that point on. So, I'm excited for it. I've liked what they've done with the Star Wars stuff on Disney Plus so far. So, I think it's gonna be good.
So
I did not get a chance to see it. Like when I clicked on the link, it said it was like no longer available.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So why?
Yeah, I had to look it up elsewhere.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I got the same thing. Yeah, but yeah, no, it wasn't. It was more like Ewan McGregor just talking to the camera, and like one of the producers or film. I don't know if it's the director, producer, or whatever, was just talking about the show. So
We have another comment about Spider-Man. End credits bring in Venom. I wouldn't want that because we already know that's happening because if you saw Venom, we already
Yeah.
You know
that's
that
happening.
Venom
So
is
it's like,
Exactly.
going to be in there somewhere also.
all right, well, let's get into some of these Disney Plus announcements. I'm only going to talk about the Marvel stuff because there's other things too, but
Yeah,
the
just
Marvel
do
stuff,
the
what we're here
Marvel
for.
shows. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we have the first look at Moon Knight. I mean, it was a big trailer, but I'm gonna just try going segment by segment. The Moon Knight stuff. What was interesting about that? It truly looked like a Marvel Netflix show. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't really care about Moon Knight, so I don't know if I'll watch it. But
So
it was at least a
seeing
cool vibe.
that trailer though,
Mhm.
Kat, like I saw that, and just in the
You're into it?
minute trailer, I was like,
Mhm.
damn, I gotta watch this. This looks good. Like just in that little bit, it had me definitely intrigued.
It looked dark. It looked dark for
Yeah.
Disney Plus. I'm curious about that, and again, what that means for maybe like the Netflix universe and those characters, because it definitely felt like a Netflix show.
So confession time, I forgot to go
Mhm.
watch the actual stuff. So,
Oh no!
yeah. So I'll
They're
just
all super short. They're all
yeah.
they're all really like
They're just
30-second like little teaser clips.
Right.
Yeah, it's at the end of that thing. I skipped like the first 10 minutes because literally it was just like, oh, do you want to know what happened in Winter Soldier? I'm like, no, thank you. All right. Well, next up we got She-Hulk. This looked cool. I'm super excited for She-Hulk. She brought a lot of Gen vibes to it, so I liked it. It looked cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's going to be like the Jennifer Walters that we know. It was cool that she's doing yoga, and then you get to see a little bit of her like, green self in there also. So I think this is going to be something that a lot of She-Hulk fans are going to enjoy. I'm really excited about this show.
So the other thing we kind of already talked about was Miss Marvel. I'm been very, very like next to Hawkeye. I've been very, very excited for this one. It's just such a shame we had to wait a little longer. But yeah, it looks like the teen Marvel show that you would want. So I know people are nervous about the powers, but if she's a good character and they bring the G. Willow Wilson series to life, which it looks like that's exactly what they're doing, then I'll be happy.
Yeah. Why
Oh,
is she?
yeah,
Why are they
absolutely.
changing the powers though? Like
I
don't
think
know.
it was because of the look. They were a little scared of the CGI from what I heard, but also just because they're trying to disconnect it to the Inhumans.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think it's easier for them to do like a projectile, like a Green Lantern thing. If like Kat said, I think it's easier. Probably costs less on money or budget or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might just
Makes sense.
look a little weird. Or maybe it's the Mr. Fantastic situation. They have Fantastic Four coming up, and she literally has the same powers as him.
Yeah.
So
True.
that could definitely be a reason. So I'm sure they had a lot of reasons for it. Next up is that Echo's getting a comic. I know nothing about this character, but all we know is it's spinning out of Hawkeye.
I am surprised at that. I did not realize that she was going to get her own show, for crying out loud. Like, that's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. Like, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because they're like really pushing her hard in the comics right now. So, I mean, now we know why.
Yeah, I guess so. Now you know why she's the Phoenix.
Yeah.
So the next two bigger topics, the other ones are just like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy stuff we already knew. So we're gonna go to the newer announcements here. First, What If is getting a season 2. So that's cool, I guess. I've not watched any of What If, so
You got a problem not watching What If. That What If show was good.
I only watched the first episode. So.
You only watched the first episode?
Yeah.
It's not just what if this person did that or what that person. This show actually has a purpose, and
that's good to hear.
If you watch the whole show, you'll see what the purpose actually is. So
Okay.
there is a reason why the Watcher is in this and he does certain things. So I have a feeling that the second season is going to be even better. It's really, really good. I just want to have it has a familiar feel to it once you get through it on, why the Watcher's watching certain characters.
I like the idea that it's 20 minutes long. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Instead of having it 40 minutes. But look, I got my Hawkeye coming up. I'll watch that weekly. Figure Drawing says, Brandon Cap, Mike Spidey, spot on. Watch the whole show. It really picks up as it goes along. I'm glad it picks up. So the other thing we have, speaking of animated shows, we have the Marvel Zombies show. It's animated. And I never was into the Marvel zombie stuff. But Mike, you're the zombie guy.
Yeah, because again, you guys don't watch the What If show, and if you watch the Marvel zombies are in that show, and they are really well done in there. So obviously, based off of the popularity of that episode, you're going to learn more of it, and I think it might have to deal with a little bit more of like Robert Kirkman's side of things. So I don't know, because I think that's what it's based off of, that first original series.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, we'll see how that one pans out. We do have two more. These are the bigger pieces here. Spider-Man Freshman Year comes out. What's interesting about this is obviously it doesn't seem like it's going to be connected to the Spider-Man we know from the MCU. So is this like going to be a new show? Is it not going to be connected? No matter what, I'm watching it. I just hope I hope it's not a kids show, because we never really had. Well, I mean, we had the '90s show, but still, all those shows are geared to kids. So to have a Spider-Man animated show that is geared for adults, like I'd be very excited for that.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to be, in my personal
opinion.
Sucks. I think it's going to be gathered towards maybe a wider audience. I think maybe it might be not like what you see on a Saturday morning cartoon, but I think it might be, I don't know, maybe PG, maybe PG-13. I don't know. If it's,
I definitely don't want it to be like, a Moon Knight, but I do want it to be like sophisticated stories. And I just hope it's not so. I want it to be serialized. I want it to be like a story that I could follow every week and feel like, oh, cool. Like this is something I could look forward to, like a Young Justice.
So I wouldn't mind if it was actually like What If, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you guys haven't seen it, but that was something that was for everybody to watch.
I think that'd be smart because, again, we've seen all the other Spider-Man shows. Do you have an opinion on that, Brant?
No, I mean, I agree with you guys. I wish, I would hope that it would be something like somewhere in the middle where you can get something out of it, no matter what age you are, like Young Justice, Batman, the animated series, Justice League, that kind of thing.
So speaking of Saturday morning cartoons, we have XMen 97 returning, and big confession, I don't love XMen 97. I think it's a little bit too hyped. I actually like X-Men Evolution more, and I know that's crazy, but I do.
I think that's a little bit more your generation.
Exactly.
Right.
That was 92. I said 97. X-Men 92. I see. Not even I wasn't even alive for it. But I am curious for this one. The only thing that would make me excited, and I'm sure they're not doing this, I'm sure they're going to continue it from the 97 storylines. I would like it to be like in the animation form of the 92. I don't know why I keep saying 97. 92. I would like to be like Krakoa, like things that are like recent stories, like in that animation style.
When it came out, just real quick, Mike, sorry.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was, I don't want to say groundbreaking, because the animation style definitely wasn't groundbreaking, but for comic fans, it was like something, it was better than anything we had gotten up to that point. You know what I mean? So it was really cool. And that theme song is just like one of the best animated theme songs of all time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And it just gets you excited and pumped, and you get in there. And like we were just talking about with those more mature storylines, I think there was a lot of through lines in that series that could appeal to a lot of different ages, no matter how old you were. There was some serious stuff going on in that show, but it was with a very colorful, fun, vibrant backdrop. So,
and that show tackled a lot of the major storylines in the comic books.
Yeah.
Like it talked about the Phoenix. It talked about Days of Future Past. Like it had all those stories in there. Like that was your, MCU at the time when it came to, X-Men. Um, the one thing that I would like to see is like if they mixed the two together. So like Kat was talking about evolution. So what's to say they can't put the two together in a way where you put more characters in there? Like who's to say, hey, let's put Emma Frost in there, right? Why couldn't you do that? Put Kitty in there as well. Like you can continue the storyline from the 92 series and then continue it from 97, but add other players in there. And then you can tackle some of the more current storylines that have come out since then,
Yeah, I think that'd be the best route to go. I just hope they don't rely so much on nostalgia because I feel like that's so much of our television these days. It's like, oh, it doesn't hold up just
It
because
is.
like we missed this show.
It is, but you know how many people are going to watch that though? There
sure.
is going to be a ton of people. And
but let's have a reason for the show to exist is my point, I guess.
Right.
It's just like, let's make sure it's not just the same thing that was in 92, but worse.
Right.
You can't duplicate that though. I mean, they're only going to make it better. I mean, they're only, the animation's going to be better. I think there's certain things that are going to it's going to have that familiar tone, but I think obviously they're going to improve on the story and hopefully the writing and everything else. And what I want out of this, though, is I want people to get excited about X-Men, right? And let Disney realize that maybe these are the X-Men that we love and we can get proper writers on the X-Men titles again. And think about it. Like, people love those X-Men comics back in the days, and that show was based off of how those X-Men comics were, right? So, maybe it'll get the X-Men back on track again, at least comic-wise.
For sure.
By the way, it is called X-Men 97.
Oh.
The new show is called X-Men 97.
Right. So that's why you keep calling it that.
It's continuing off of there. It started
so it's like 5 years later.
The original one started in 92.
Right.
And it
ended in
97. Yeah.
We're going to get a lot of Cable and Deadpool, I have a feeling. Well, we'll see. All right. I knew I was saying 97 for a reason. I was like, why do I keep saying that? I know I saw that somewhere. But yeah, so that's all the news for this week. Obviously, we had a lot. We actually have a lot of comics to talk about, too. So before we get into it, I know me and Brant have Kickstarters. Brant, if you want to go first with your Kickstarter.
Yeah. So mine is a cyberpunk fantasy comic book called In the Land of the Dragon, issue number 1. I'm just going to pull it up here. There we go. All right, so this is about a mercenary named Kenzo who is tasked with kidnapping a child that holds a secret that could shift the balance of power between two warring corporations in a sprawling, vibrant metropolis. If you like things like Akira, Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, other cyberpunk or anime like that, you're going to love this book. We are, I think, 61% funded at this point. We've got some limited edition metal covers available. We got all kinds of stuff. You can check it out. There's some of the art from the book. So you can check all of this out at lastimberpress.com/dragon. Scroll past the creative team there. It's a lot of us. And so you can check it out. We are live until December 3rd. So just a little over 2 weeks to go. So, we would love your support. Thanks.
I like the thanks at the end.
Thanks. I'm thanking you in advance, right?
Well, I have only 2 more days left for my Kickstarter. It's Slice of Life. It's about an anime character that comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. It ends Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We only have 2 more backers until 500. So hopefully, guys, maybe by the end of the night, we could get to 500 backers. The big goal is to hopefully get to 600 backers by the end of this campaign. It's done really well. We're really happy about it. Here are some pages. If you enjoy slice of life stories, I think you'll enjoy this because it literally breaks down the genre. It's a romance story. It's an action story. It's a comedy story. There's so many different genres in it with some wonderful art. So go check it out.
Nice.
All right.
So we're on to the comic books now.
We are.
All right. So did you have something to say, Brian?
I was just gonna say that I didn't actually get to put together my top 5, so I'm just gonna talk about them as they come.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So just a heads up, guys, in case you did not read your books, which we hope you have by now. There are spoilers in these comic books, so everything goes here. And the first book that we're going to talk about, let me switch this over, is probably one of the biggest books of this week, and this was Venom issue 1. So this is a very, what is it, bigger sized issue, written by Al Ewing and Ram V. And we have kind of 2 different stories going on in a way, because you have one story really going to be focusing on Dylan and him, I guess, going to be on Earth being the next Venom. And then you're going to have a story about Eddie, who is basically cosmic Venom at this point, but he's the King in Black. And supposedly it looks like he dies in this issue, and then he goes into some garden, and then he comes across some mystical new villain, I guess, by the time you wind up getting to the end of it. And by the time I got done reading the end of this book, I'm like, oh shit, we're already going Immortal Hulk style on this book. That's how I felt on it. It was already getting a little bit weird for me, right? So what I like out of this book, honestly, I found myself more interested in the Dylan story.
Me too.
And I think this is a good thing, because in a way, this is going to keep this book grounded, where it's not always going to focus on Eddie, where he's in some other world dealing with some other thing. So would you guys think about this book?
I don't know. I'm a little torn by it, just because, as you know, I never stick with a Venom book, and I don't know if there's anything where I'm like, whoa, I need to get the next issue of Venom. I like Dylan's story. I think that was definitely my favorite part, and I think I want to try issue 2 just for that sake, but the other stuff was too much for me. It reminds me why I don't like Marvel events, and I'm sure it's going to tie into Timeless somehow. And I was like, man, do I care? I don't know.
I bet I know. I bet one of your panels would have been from this book, though. No?
Oh, which one?
The
I actually
Beatles
didn't pick my
reference.
panels this week. I did screen capture it, but I didn't actually set up my top 5 once we decided we weren't doing panels. I didn't look to see which ones it were.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, that's going to be Cat's panels. It's got to be. But
I definitely took a picture of it. I love my Beatles references. That was really good. The dialogue work was good, because I don't know about the plot. I'm curious about it.
Yeah, it didn't totally sell me either. I'm not in the place where I'm gonna drop it or thinking about dropping it yet. But I agree with you both that I like the Dylan story better. The whole Eddie jumping into different bodies and kind of thing is just like, okay, whatever. I don't know how I feel about that. But I like Dylan's story. I like, and the chains don't bother me, Mike. I know you hate the chains, but it makes sense. He's a kid. He's gonna wrap chains around his. I don't know why, but why not? Right? So
it's just weird. It's just like, weird. Hey, let me have some random chains around my wrist. Like,
he probably saw Ghost Rider and was like, he looks cool.
Yeah, I guess maybe you read a Spawn comic book or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I get it. He's a kid. It's just weird how he has it. But yeah, I mean, the book was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. It's just the problem is like it's only the first issue. So it's like you can't get a lot. And they throw a lot of weird stuff at you right from the start. So you can't get a real good feel of the book yet. All you know is that you feel like Dylan is going to be on his own, kind of supporting himself, is going to be with Sleeper and maybe helping him out as well. And I want to see that journey from him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little concerned because you guys know how I felt about Immortal Hulk. So I'm a little concerned that it's going to get away from me and I'm going to fall off of it, but I'm not there yet. So
right.
I hope to like Hulk more. That's my hope, is Hulk issue 1. I'll enjoy a little more.
All right. So there we go. There's our thoughts on Venom. So next one is Robin and Batman issue 1. This one was written by Jeff Lemire, and let's see, Brant, you didn't read this book.
No, I don't know. I don't want to like say I'm not. I don't know. It just didn't grab me. I'll just put it like that.
I really like Jeff Lemire, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick this up, even though we have 20,000 Batman books. But I really like this, honestly.
Yeah.
I felt like the story just was so good, and yeah, it's not reinventing the wheel, but the way it's told, you feel for Dick Grayson a lot. Man, again, it's not anything different than what we've seen, but it's just like such a rich, character-driven father-son story, and it was really good.
It was really good. I really enjoyed the story, and I really enjoyed Alfred's involvement in this book, especially since we don't see Alfred all that much, and being that he's kind of the one that's in the middle of everything, you know, and how he's dealing with this rift between Dick and Bruce, and how, you know, Dick wants to be Robin and he wants to go out on the town, and you know, and then he kind of fails, and Batman is testing him out. And kind of the cool thing was too is that, you know, Batman had a suit made for him already, but in order to find that out, he had to go into his diary, and Dick was like, "You went into my stuff and you read my personal stuff." He's like, "But I was just doing it to make a gift." And he's like, "That's not the point. You don't do that, you know?" And so like those emotional beats were really well done in this book. And the art style was a little bit different. And I just thought the story was really well told. You know, pacing was really good. It wasn't bogged down by a lot of dialogue. It just got right to the point. And I had a blast with this book. It was phenomenally written. Really, really good. I was going to pass on it too, Brant, because again, another freaking Batman book. How many books have we read with Robin and Batman in the early years and this and that? But it was just well written.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree.
Maybe I'll have to check it out. Is it?
Yeah, go check it out. Yeah, and it's short and sweet. I think you'll enjoy it. It's good.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So I got a couple comments here. What does it say? Serenity. What does he say about this? Chains are metal. Of course he has them. And then he goes, you know, it's good if I like a Venom book. I'll be reading it for now.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Rose is, I haven't read Hulk since issue 36. It completely lost him. So,
I think around that time it did get off the rails a bit. Around issue 36, it picked up again. I didn't love the finale, but you know, the book as a whole was really good.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So next book we're going to talk about is What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue 1.
This is a weird book.
So all three of us read this book, and I was kind of like, dude, what am I reading? Like, what's going on? There's these kids that live in this record store, and then there's like other factions of these kids. Like there's pig kids, and then there's the music kids, and they're like, there's no adults. It's like the adults like die or something. You really don't know. And
this main character seems confused that she's pregnant. Like, I don't know if I was the only one who caught that. She's like, doesn't know that she is.
Yeah. It's like maybe they're not supposed to be able to have kids. They didn't really make that clear why that was.
No, that was so weird.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, and I don't know. Like, it's like, wait, does she not know this? Like, does pregnancy not exist? Like, what is going on? But what I was gonna say is like the thing that being it so weird is what I liked about it, but it's also what I hated about it. Like, I don't know what to think about this book because like this is maybe too weird, but I also like that it's so different.
Yeah, and the art style is very different too. So it's like I can't decide if the art style matches the story for me yet. So it's really a really strange combination.
This is just one you're going to have to pick up again to see if you truly like it, because you need to see what this world is about, how it possibly got this way. Where did the pregnant girl go? Like, there was this map, right? And I guess it took it to a city, and I think that's maybe where she's trying to go. And the dude like leaves her up there overnight. It's just so weird, man. It was
And,
so weird.
and then the tall, slender man, like looking women that come in, just can like go through their locked door, and
That was weird.
the strangers, I think they called them. Whatever.
That was weird too.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect. I know this book like was pretty hot this week too. Like it was sold out everywhere. And I don't get the appeal to it, like why it was, because for me, I just thought it was a very confusing book. I'm not saying it was poorly written. I'm just saying that it just doesn't give you enough to give you a justification really what everything is about. And again, my biggest problem is, and I'll always say this because this is what bugs me in comics, is or in movies in general, is just when you throw so much at a reader. And I just felt like there was a lot of characters in this book, and it was hard to get to know any of these characters. The only person that you got to know really was the pregnant girl, but I still don't remember her name. And then the dude that supposedly died but didn't die, that came
is
in
he
off
the
street.
father? Is he not? I was
Is he
so
an
confused.
adult? And if you're an adult, are
Yeah.
you supposed to die? Like, I don't know.
I mean,
I
would.
agree that you need an issue 2. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I might give an issue 2 depending on like how much I'm reading that week. But what were you gonna say, Brent?
I was just gonna say I would assume the buzz is because it's the 4 kids walk into a bank team, right? And that was a big book, right? So, and it's a known writer. You know, you probably got a following. But yeah, no, it's odd. It's just an odd book, and I like you guys. It's like I can't tell if I like it or not. I'm so confused by it. So,
no, all right. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, so let's move on to our number 5 then. What was my number 5? So, my number 5 is A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, issue 1. Or issue 2. Sorry, we're on issue 2 on that. So this is the book that's written by Rick Remender, and this book is almost basically a silent series. There's very little dialogue in this book. And it's about a character that went in the first issue. It's like you don't know very much about this character. He went into a person's house. You think that maybe he was a shopper for him, and he come across this murder that happened in his house. And then he goes and he escapes. And earlier in the day in the grocery store, he saw this particular person who bought these things that could have killed this person. So you're like, oh shit. So he thinks he knows who killed these people, right? So he like flees or whatever it is. And this is weird because now he goes back to his house and he has this secret hiding place, this guy. And behind this hiding place, he's got this secret computer with this USB, and he opens it up and he finds out that there's these jobs for hire on the internet or whatever that you can take out people. And it looks like he's part of this group. And maybe he went to the house to kill these people and someone already killed them in front of him. I don't know. But he took this next job, and it looks like it's a team-up job because he wound up meeting up with one of these guys, and they're going to kill this woman. So it's like you find out that this guy is like some kind of hitman or whatever it is. I don't know. It's kind of hard to decipher what's going on just because there's very little dialogue. Like, where does this organization come from? Why does this guy do this? Like, who is the other guy that he teams up with? Oh, like, what's the motive behind everything? Why does this book exist? You know, it's kind of weird, you know, but it does definitely have me intrigued. The artwork is really good in it. I don't know. I'll check out issues 3 and see what it has to offer, you know?
Yeah, I read the first issue of this, and because of a lot of the reasons you said, I just did not follow up on it. There wasn't a whole lot that happened. There wasn't a lot of dialogue. There wasn't a lot of information given to me. The only thing there was him finding them dead. And it was like, okay, that's just not enough to bring me back personally. Right. It's like, from what you're describing from this issue too, it's like these 2 issues together are like the first 5 minutes of a movie. You know? And that's like super decompressed.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for him to have a secret computer in his house to go look for another job because this one maybe got botched or was already taken, it makes you realize that, oh, this guy's like a hitman and he just takes random jobs. It's kind of like when you're a grocery delivery person, and you're like, oh, look, John Smith has an order, that she wants. So I'm going to click on it. And that's what they do to take out, to kill these people. So that's what it seems like to me anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So that was my number 5. So Kat, what was yours?
Mine was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 13. 13, I think. This is a solid setup issue. It's very much a setup issue where they realize that the Power Rangers that are kind of against each other realize, okay, we're gonna have to fight together if we want to save Zordon. And then you have Billy trying to save Zordon on his own as well. So yeah, it was all very setup-y, but a good, pretty solid setup.
Yeah, I mean, this is, as we keep talking about, this is the stronger of the two series, but it's starting to bleed into the other one, talking about the Imperials and the Omega Rangers and all that stuff. But I've enjoyed this storyline with Zordon's people coming and invading the Earth, and the revelation behind who Zed is and all this stuff. It's been really interesting so far, and now that we're at this point where Zordon is gone for the moment. And they're having to rally together underneath that lady. I can't remember her name, but the scientist
Grace.
Grace. Yeah. So yeah, it's really interesting, and it's going to be like, can they work together? Can they work with the Green Ranger? And what's going to happen? I don't know. I'm just invested. I'm invested in this whole Eltarian War, is that what it's called?
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. And guys, thank you so much for watching tonight. We appreciate the comments and the questions as well. And then we also have a interesting comment here by Serenity, and he says, well, since the lead guy looks like Benedict Wong, the guy who's playing Wong in Doc Strange, I'm sure this is a movie script in disguise as a comic.
Aren't they all these days?
Right. And then he had a good theory on this one. My theory, he's not a hitman because he was too nervous. Because when he found the guy that he was working with, he did look extremely nervous, like he was sweating and everything. And so he goes, I think he found the USB that went into the computer to find all those jobs, and is going there to stop the murder of that woman. So that's definitely interesting.
So maybe he was too late with the first one. Maybe he was going to stop her. Maybe that's where he found the USB. Who knows?
I don't know where he found the USB. That is my thing right there. So
right.
I don't know. All right. So that was our number 5. So let's talk about the Joker issue 9. What did you guys think about this particular issue? Better?
I feel like finally, I thought this was back on the map for me because you have, obviously you don't know if Jim's going to die or not. And that's a big possibility that he's going to die. And then the connections to the Gordon family, finding out that the Talon has possibly been Jim Gordon Jr. this whole time. So I thought this issue really picked up.
Yeah. And then, the master plan behind the network and the slabs of meat and all that kind of stuff.
It was crazy.
Yeah. I was like,
Jokers,
oh my God.
All the extra Jokers.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, I wonder if this is how 3 Jokers came to be.
Right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Right? But yeah, and just like some great inner monologue from Jim this time too. It's like, as they're driving up and he's talking about, I really should call Barbara. I should really bring Batman in here, but Batman will, not let him die, and I can't have that. So it's like, okay, Jim's still Breaking Bad and going dark here, so he's paying for it.
I am, I made this prediction though in the beginning of the series, like, what if Gordon does die?
Yeah,
right.
It's possible for sure.
Right. And this would be crazy though, because then you got Alfred that's dead and Commissioner Gordon that's dead. Like that shit's weird.
Yeah.
And Bane is a zombie right now.
Yeah. Just breaking down the whole Bat family. Yeah. Continuing to.
We talked about Jace Batman going to New York. We talked about that earlier. And I said that that Batman is the Miles Morales of Batman. So that's what I said. That's what they're going for, I think, in this DC world.
Yeah.
So, all right. I like the Joker. I thought it was good too. Unfortunately, we didn't get the normal artist on there. It was a different artist this time around, but I thought the story was really solid, and I did not see the whole Talon situation coming at all. So that was a great plot point there. All right. So then let's talk about the Thing issue 1. Brandon, you didn't read the Thing.
I did not. I didn't like the art, so I just didn't.
You know, it's okay that you didn't. It's totally fine. There's nothing much that happens.
I get what they were trying to kind of do with that artwork. They were trying to make it a little bit old school.
Yeah.
My problem with this book is it was very depressing, and I did not feel that this fit really the Thing. I wanted him to be a more happy-go-lucky character in this book. But my biggest issue in this book is that Alicia and Ben's relationship is super strong, right? They're engaged to be married in this issue. And there's one instance that happens because Ben Grimm is jealous of Alicia hanging out with this guy as they go to see this show. And then all of a sudden, out of randomness, this dude like maces him, and he gets mad because he gets maced and tosses a car, and he takes her away, and she goes, Ben. And then literally the next panel later, she's like, you know what? I'm not going to marry you. Like, that would never happen. And then Ben lets her go. Like, why would that even happen? And his line is that I don't give up on things. That he says that in this book, and he gives up on Alicia almost immediately in this book and starts to pursue another relationship.
Yeah,
So
like right away.
Issue in this book. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
I also don't know if there was much of a purpose for this book either. Like, at least with Invisible Woman, it wasn't really connected to like the bigger plot, but like you could tell, like, oh, this is like you could kind of fit it in as a side story. Like, okay, I can see where this could work. Even Fantastic Four life story, like they could do whatever they want. So that's the point of that book. This is just like it's a lost story, but like, why does it matter? Right? And besides, like we're seeing a Thing book where he's at a character, not like Mike said, he's not the comedic character we know and love. So. It didn't hold me enough for an issue 2. I don't think it was a horrible book by any means. It just, I don't know if it needed to be on the slate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then I forgot to mention the wannabe Kindred character that was in this book as well. The villain that was in this book. He's a hooded character. He's got these crazy teeth. He's got these eyes. The dude looks like Kindred, and he like, I don't know, like sucks your heart out or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? And then he's after the female that the Thing is like falling in love with or is dating or whatever. And then there's this new enemy, I guess, that's in this book who wraps tires around his hands. This book was not, to me, this book was not good. I know some people liked it, but the more I think about this book and the more I talk about it, the more and more I just dislike it, So, yeah, I don't think I'm buying issue 2 with this one. This is not. I wanted to see clobbering time, and that's not what we got.
Right.
At all. So, it looks like I saw Daniel Rose made a comment on here, and he said that I saw this on Mike's After the Poll video, and he saved me $3. Yeah. So I'm glad I saved you $3. That's my job, man. You're make decisions on what comic books to buy, and I saved you that money. So good.
I'm glad your store only sells it for $3 because mine's $5.
Maybe we're having a discount because of it. I don't know. I'm disappointed in that. I think a lot of people were kind of like you, Kat. They just did not see that story on where it was going,
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to number 4. Kat, what was your number 4?
Mine was Static Shock, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been having a fun time with this one. This one we get to see, everyone knows that he's Static, which I actually I think it makes him for a more fun book. And then you get to see the friends are kind of helping out, the Frida and Gear's character Richie. So we get to see them as heroes a little bit. We get to see some of the Bang Baby villains fight him. So it's just pure fun. If you like the cartoon, it definitely has vibes of that. Has this kind of own new feel to it, but also, is a little darker like the comics or the previous comics. So, yeah, having a good time with it.
Cool. I didn't get to finish this one. I only read like the first 7 or 8 pages. So I liked what I read so far, but yeah.
It ends on a good note. Like I said, the friends do get involved, so it's cool to see them.
I did flip through and see like his sister giving him the jacket and talking about that. So that was cool.
Yeah, she had a good moment here too.
All right. And my number 4 was the book we just talked about, which was The Joker. So pretty easy there. All right. And let's talk about The Amazing Spider-Man issue 78.
Morbius. Did
Morbius
not like seeing him.
Morbius, armless Morbius, nippleless Morbius.
And also, I really like Sarah Pacelli as an artist, but I don't think this is her strongest work.
No.
I really did not like seeing Morbius here. It's just like, just because we're getting a movie, that's why we have it. The only scene I really liked was the MJ and Black Cat scene. I'm like, I'm excited for that.
The only other thing about the Morbius thing that I liked was the lady behind Beyond contemplating whether they should just let him keep the vampire toxin or whatever. I thought that was a strong moment as to her motivations behind this whole thing and where this could go.
She's a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
basically what she is, because she doesn't care. She doesn't care about him. All she cares about is her agenda in the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I mean that's cool because she becomes maybe she's the next Queen Goblin. Or Goblin Queen, whatever.
That can make sense. I don't know if that's exciting, but it makes sense for sure.
Right.
It's going to be his girlfriend,
Yeah, maybe it is his girlfriend. Maybe she gets jealous of him or for some reason, right? I don't know.
I'm going to become a goblin.
But I agree with Kat. Like, I love the Black Cat MJ scene. I thought that scene was really great. And then the rest of the book was just... If I just read those 2 pages, I would have been fine. Like, the rest of it, the scene with Morbius, with him biting Peter at the end of it, like there was really nothing out of it. Oh, I'm just like stumbling around and nothing really happens to him. He transports out of that thing, and that's what cuts Morbius like in half or whatever.
Yeah,
I
like that line in the Black Cat Mary Jane scene. I like that line where she's like, how many more ex-love interests do I have to get in here? I don't care. Just if you'll wake up.
Yeah. I like that MJ wasn't jealous because she's so confident of her relationship with Peter. It's like, oh, cool, come in.
But I think she realizes he needs all the people in his life right now to help him get through this. So that was really cool of her. Yeah. But that Spider-Man issue was bad. Like that whole fight with Morbius, like that was pointless. Like really, pointless.
Didn't like it.
All right. So that's Spider-Man. Now, hopefully next issue will be better. We'll see what happens.
I'm just waiting for that annual, whatever that MJ Black Cat team up is. Like that's the one I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
That's the Black Widow one.
Is it? When's it come out? Is it a one shot as an annual, as an actual issue? I don't remember.
It's
it's
a one shot. Okay.
All right. So we talked about Mighty Morphin. So we're going to go on to number 3. I saw the next book we're going to be talking about in a minute. Number 3 for me was Venom. We already talked about that book. Kat, what was yours?
Mine was Joker. We already talked about it.
Okay. So let's talk about the book that burns me once again.
Oh, no.
Freaking Miles Morales, issue 32. That's what Brant thinks of it.
Well, I was waiting to see why it burned you.
Okay, so the fight and the purpose of this book was horrible. You know, I made this comment when I did my After the Pool episode. You have books that are fillers, right? Or one and dones or 2-issue story arcs. And we got a lot of this in the 70s, in the 80s, and in the early 90s, right? But the difference is those stories were rich in dialogue. Those stories had really good purposes to them, right? And they were fun to read. And then you got your next, like, say, major story arc. This didn't have shit. This had complete laziness. This book, you didn't read this, Kat, did you?
No, but I'm having a fun
Okay.
time you ranting about it.
So you got Taskmaster, right? Last issue was actually pretty good. He captures her. And then you're wondering, dude, why is he going to capture her, right? What's the motive behind this? What's going to be the outcome? How's the fight going to be? You got none of that shit. So what happens is Miles somehow gets on a freaking boat that's like half a mile off into the ocean already by using his Venom blast. They do a 2-second fight, and Taskmaster sits there and goes, "You're stalling me from delivering the package because if I don't deliver this in a certain time, it's null and void and I don't get paid for this." So they start battling. How does this stall anything? Because the ship is on its way to the destination. I have no freaking idea. So they go and they fight, and all of a sudden, Taskmaster has this fucking alarm that's on his little watch, and he goes, "Well, that's my alarm. Well, sorry, kids. This is like all null and void, so screw you guys. I'm flying out of here." That's it. Next thing you see is the Beyond Corporation limo shows up, comes out, and says, "You can't be Spider-Man anymore. Here's the contract. You got to give that up," or whatever it is. You want to talk about lazy writing. There's no motive here for his little girlfriend to get captured. There's no reasoning. You don't know who wanted to capture her. And the fight just ends because his alarm goes off and he just takes off and goes away. That is bad. I'm sorry. That there is no point into that book whatsoever. Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
So I hadn't actually thought about the boat was still moving. That's hilarious. And also, if you're trying to get to somewhere in a record time or whatever, why would you be on like an old barge?
Yeah,
because that's what they're like on a garbage barge, just like floating through. It's like, okay, yeah, it wasn't the great ending, and that very abrupt. Oh, contract's up. Sorry. Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot to this issue. I agree. I was a little disappointed as well.
He's like bleeding out in the middle of New York or whatever it is. And all of a sudden the paramedics find him and they're like, "Spider-Man, let me help you." And he's like, no, let me help you. So he's in the ambulance, right? And all they did was bandage him up. He calls Riri Williams to find out the location of Taskmaster. Literally, the guy 5 minutes later, he's back out doing whatever it is that he needed to do. This issue was really, really poorly written, in my opinion, and there wasn't very much dialogue either. And I don't know. I can't say.
I'd like to know why two EMTs are just kind of chilling, hanging out beside the ambulance. They're just like, "Oh, there's a superhero in trouble. Let's go help him."
Oh, it was so bad. Is it just
doesn't seem like I'm missing much?
Talk about, yeah.
It is, honestly. Especially, I had no context about this issue, so it was very fun.
It's kind of sad because last issue was really good.
It was. It set up to be a really solid book. Now, if it ended in a different way, where it was like, I got to deliver this to so and so, right? That would make a big difference. If they had a major fight instead of like a 2-panel fight, that would make a difference. If he wasn't on a boat, it would make a much better difference. But the fight that they had in the last issue was like 2 seconds long. And didn't he take her in a fucking helicopter? Didn't he take her in a helicopter?
Yeah.
So What's wrong with the helicopter? Why do you got to transfer from a helicopter to a boat? That doesn't make any sense.
I know. Maybe he thought Spider-Man couldn't reach the boat. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. There's so many bad things that happened in this book. It's so bad. It's so bad. I get burned on this book every time, and I give it so many chances.
Even if they had, like,
it's Miles Morales, he's a good character.
Even if they had thrown in a panel at the end, like the person that had hired Taskmaster saying, like some nefarious, to give you something to hang for the future, like as to why this was even a story.
Yeah.
But you don't get any of that.
Throwaway. Total throwaway. I'm done. Next. Where are we at?
I think we're on
so we talked about Static. We talked about
Yeah.
Static.
So
Okay.
number 2.
All right. So number 2. Kat, what was your number 2?
Mine was Maze Book issue 3. Another really good issue where we get to see, him maybe debating, okay, is my daughter actually alive, and actually meets a person in his building that like believes him. And I really love the scene between those two. And it's like, okay, I'm back on track. Let's figure out where this world is. And he does by the end of the issue. And I feel like Jeff Lemire's art works perfectly for this. I don't think it's for everything, but it really works really well here. And it's just a really good book. I'm very curious to see how it's going to go.
I like this too. I really liked how the relationship with the neighbor went in this issue. Like, he just needed a friend. You know what I'm saying? And this is a guy that's just kind of down on everything, and she was just there to listen to him. And the interesting aspect of this story was her dog went missing, and he goes into this maze, and by the time you go, he finds like the secret way to get to the other side of this maze, and it looks like it's this other dimension, and you see the dog, and the dog's like, "Oh, it's about time he showed up here." And you're like, "Whoa," However, what if this is another one of those books where it's just like in this guy's head?
I wouldn't mind that either. I think either way, it's going to be a strong book, just because it is a book about grief. And I think they've done a really good job at showcasing those emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be really sad if it was, though. Like if this was in this guy's head and he's wishing for his daughter to come back, and and
I think it's more poignant though, because I think there's always comics where things are so fantastical that you always get the happy ending. I think it's a stronger ending if it is fake, and it is just this human story about grief.
You make a good point. I made that point, and when me and Brant were talking last week about the Me You Love in the Dark, how I said that book is more, it could be the ghost is a manifestation in Rose's head, and it's
very
not
true.
actually anybody that's living in there. And she's just been isolated in this house, and it kind of reminds you of The Shining, and she's basically talking with herself. And this is her that's going to cause this problem with her, her agent or her supporter of her art that finally came to the house. And I think it's a strong possibility in my head there's no ghost at all. It's all her.
Yeah, no, that issue was really interesting. I didn't get to talk about it, but what I thought of it was just like an allegory about an abusive relationship, which is interesting that you wouldn't have expected that from the last issue. Like, this book keeps changing what it actually is, which I genuinely really enjoy about it. Like, I don't really know what this book's about.
Right.
But it does kind of make sense, because we kind of talked about it last week, because now that he's, had her, or been with her, rather, is a better way to put it, there's that possessive nature now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it's a very interesting book.
Yeah.
And I think there's only one more issue left of it.
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully get some answers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Maze Book is a phenomenal book. All right, so let's see. So my number 2 then was Robin and Batman. So we talked about that. That's how much I like that book. I really liked it.
Yeah,
all right. And then next, I have actually dropped off of this book because I fell behind during the summer. But we got Stillwater issue 11.
I'll go quick because I think I didn't notice. I was the only one who marked it down. No, Brant also
No, I
marked it
marked
down.
it.
Never mind,
Yeah.
sorry. I don't know. I was going crazy. But yeah, no, this issue was a little. It was definitely more of a. I hate saying a setup issue, but it was. It was like a year has passed, and we're seeing like how the government and politics have changed here. I really like the mom. That was a really good cliffhanger. Like, oh, what's gonna happen here?
Yeah. So the year later, and it's like new people are in charge, but they're learning it's the same old story. It's the same thing, and they're still battling with the same issues. And that guy that started off the whole series is still stuck there and can't leave. But yeah, the cliffhanger with his mom showing up at the end was that made the issue for me, I guess, because I agree with you. Up till that point, it was set up for this new phase of this series. So not a whole lot else happened. Really.
No.
Just like there was the thing about the stranger from out of town delivering the stuff, and they're like trying to decide how to take care of him because he's starting to get suspicious. But yeah.
All right, cool. All right, next book is Strange Academy, issue 13. So, interesting book here as we get to see Emily visit the person that's in that dungeon. I think that showed us a long time ago in this series, and she finally revisits this guy and figures out like what his deal is, and kind of sets him free in a way. I thought that was an interesting take.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the guy from that arc. I don't even know if it was this book or if it was Doctor Strange, where they were trying to get rid of all magic. It was that storyline, and I think that's. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right, because I think it even referenced that in the comic.
Yeah, so it was like a long callback, which was cool. I enjoyed that part, but like we keep talking about with this series, though, this was yet another issue of them going out and just doing something, and you learn a little bit about one of the characters. So it's a little formulaic. I like that they're putting that kind of stuff with Emily in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And giving you little things to hold on to, but that was just like a little one-off, because now he's we're not going back to him. Now he's in this like heavenly place in his mind, right? So
and that's what this book is. So I said like how old school Marvel was when it came to storytelling, one shots, one and done. That's what this reminds me of, because that's what a lot of these issues are, like 1 or 2 issue story arcs, and then it moves on to something else.
Right.
And they're good. They're good issues.
Oh yeah, they're good. Yeah. I just like you. I still want something bigger from it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Every once in a while, you want something a little bit deeper. You don't want every issue to be a one and done, right?
Right. Yeah. But I still like. I mean, I like the fact that they are giving each character time to grow and build them throughout each of these issues. So you're learning a little bit more about each one of them as it goes. So
right. Okay. Cool. So now we're going to use our this time to talk about our number 1, and my number 1 was May's book. So my number 1 and number 2 books were both Jeff Lemire books this week.
My number 1 was Robin and Batman, so we just switched. And it also was Jeff Lemire books.
Super cool. All right. So now we will move on and talk about books that are on our chopping blocks, possibly. Venom for you, Kat, right?
Yeah, that one's half chop. We'll see what I'm getting that week when Venom issue 2 comes out. And then the Thing I'm definitely dropping. And then the long, whatever it's called, the Home. What's the furthest place from home is a half chop. Because I kind of want to see the second issue, but there's a lot of issues coming out. I don't know how desperate I am for a second issue.
Yeah, I'm dropping the Thing, and then we'll see what happens with what's the furthest place from here. That's what it's called. I'm checking that out. And then the other book that I don't know if they're making another one of this, but this Phenom X book. This book was bad.
Was it bad? Yeah. It's a John Leguizamo book, right?
Yeah. And I bought it because I wanted to support him. I'm a fan of him.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah, and there's multiple writers on it, so but it just wasn't my thing. There was just way too much dialogue. It was just kind of cringy in certain places, and just not for me. It just seemed like a Luke Cage ripoff character, So, but it is what it is. I got a cool Todd McFarlane cover. That's who did that cover on there. So,
Nice.
Tried it out, supported his. That was the dude's dream. So how can I deny him of that? So I wanted to get that. So that's awesome.
Cool.
So. Daniel goes, Miles Morales, Mike, you're not dropping it. You know what? It's connected to the Beyond storyline now. So I have to read it again. I have to read it because it's connected to that whole thing. So I have to find out what goes on now, right? Oh man, it's so bad. There's always a reason why for me to buy this book. Always. God. All right. So
Cat's not going to buy it.
What's that?
No.
That's a cat's not going to buy it.
Yeah,
I'll buy it if like Spider-Man shows up. I'm not buying it anytime soon.
So now we're going to pass it on to you, Brant, for the most anticipated.
Yep. So most anticipated, we got a lot of books to talk about this time, actually. A lot of bigger books coming up this week. Let's start with the latest Darkhold Wasp, #1.
This looked interesting. I have not read any of the Darkhold books, but I feel like we haven't seen a lot from Janet, and this looks like a dark book from her. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll pick it up.
Okay.
So, first of all, I'm 1-1 with this dark. Actually, if you want to count the main title, 1 and 2.
That's true.
The main title was horrible.
Yeah.
The first issue with the one with Iron Man was great. The issue with Blade, not great. So
I like the Blade one.
What's that?
I like the Blade one.
Did you? I didn't.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Oh, okay, that's good. So, I guess it's going to depend on the character. So, if you're a fan of Janet, you might actually like this one.
I do like Janet. So I'm hoping.
Buy it.
I'll let you know if I like it or not. I'll definitely read it by tomorrow. I'll try and make it one of my first ones. But I feel like you'll probably get your books before I get to read it, but we'll see.
Right. Okay.
And then Mike and I are enjoying Moon Knight. Last issue you said was the best issue so far. So hopefully this one supersedes that.
Tigra was awesome in that book.
She was.
So hopefully she stays in that book because I think she would make a perfect supporting character for him in there.
Absolutely. I agree with that, and I think he needs that. And I like Tigra as a character anyway. So
me too, yeah.
All right, we got let's see, Radio Apocalypse. Mike, you marked that one.
It's just another apocalypse book. It's like there's no more like radio on the air from what I heard, from what I remember reading about it.
Oh, wow, that's a serious apocalypse. Then.
Yeah. I think there's just
we all use the radio every day.
What's that?
I said we use the radio every day.
They do in the apocalypse, like Walking Dead. They're like all on the CD radio.
Yeah, so I don't know. I might want to check it out. You never know. This latest, I don't know where we are, future, whatever that thing we just read. That was apocalyptic book, and I was kind of disappointed with it. Like, I don't know. So we'll see how this radio one goes.
Yeah. All these long titles these days, you can't remember.
The reason they do it is because they want to be the #1 search on Google. So that's the reason why they keep having these really long titles, but they are so hard to memorize.
Yeah.
Like one thing like Slice of Life, love the title, love it. But having Slice of Life as your title makes it very difficult to search your own book.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's, I can see like if these become a hit, they're going to be shortened. So people will just start calling this Furthest Place, or whatever. It's like Two Guys, a girl in a pizza parlor, whatever that show was. It was just called Two Guys.
Exactly.
It's like Something is Killing the Children. Like that's a long title, but it's a title that is easy to remember. That's
memorable though. Yeah.
It's like,
what's
a Nice House on the Lake.
Something is Killing the Children. That's horrible.
Yeah,
I feel like James Tynion has been better at the longer titles. I feel like he's been a champion of them.
Yeah, the Nice House on the Lake.
But what's the Furthest Place from Here is just so
Wordy.
just like it's wordy, and it's just like this random phrase. You know, it's like, what's the furthest place from here, Google? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Refrigerator Full of Heads, number 2. You guys are enjoying that one.
Loved issue 1. You have a shark that has his head cut off and he's still growling. So it was a good issue. I'm excited.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And I can't wait to see, like, learn more history about these new weapons that are involved as well, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, pizza place, not parlor. You're right, Serenity. I couldn't remember what it was
long
called.
titles.
Yeah, it's just 2 guys. That's how I know it. Anyway, I never actually watched the show, but let's talk about. I lost my place. Aquaman: The Becoming, number 3. I actually never got around to reading issue 2. So
issue 2 is good. I liked it. And supposedly something big happens at the end of this issue. So I don't know what happens, but I've been liking this series. I think it's been pretty solid.
Yeah, I really liked issue 1, so I'll have to catch up this week on that one. And then we got another Batman Secret Files, The Gardener this time. And the only reason I'm interested in this just because we don't know anything about this character, right?
Man,
I was debating. I agree as well. The only reason I'm getting it is because of Poison Ivy. So I'm like, well, I do want to kind of know what their college days are like. So I'm like, all right, I'll pick it up because of that. But I agree. Like in a normal circumstance, I've been burned by these books. So I'm like, should I get it?
I'm not wasting money. I bought that Clown Hunter one. And I was just like, I think the only good one was the Huntress one, right?
Yeah,
the
only
Huntress one was good. Yeah.
That one Miracle Molly I did not like.
Book. Yeah, I
was in the middle on
with that. I don't care enough about the Gardener. She did not make enough of an impact in the main series for me to go out of my way and read about her.
Yeah, it's
that's understandable.
Yeah, like Kat, the connection to Poison Ivy is the only reason I'm interested, in her history. But, may look at it and it's like nothing about that. So we'll see. Yeah. All right. Spider-Woman number 17. So
that ended on a really good cliffhanger, right?
Right.
Yeah. But I think this is a new arc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. New story arc starts this time around. What was the cliffhanger? I don't remember.
The brother disappeared. I don't know if he died. I forget. But then the niece was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go on and do my own thing," and they like teamed up. So that was the ending of that. So the brother was gone. Was the big point, even though he's always gone.
Okay.
But
her family always disappears just to resurface.
So I think the babysitter is going to be maybe she's on the cover. So I think maybe she's going to be in the book a lot more.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah, she's cool. And sticking with the spider characters, we got Amazing Spider-Man. We're back with the point issues. 78 point BEY for Beyond.
I don't know if I care about this one because you have like Misty Knight and Colleen, who I love as characters, but they haven't made an impression in this book yet. So I don't know.
I thought their dialogue was a little better in this week's issue. Colleen was throwing in little jabs and like the dry humor kind of thing. So I enjoyed that at least. But yeah, I don't know.
A hint of a villain coming in, a new villain or something like that in this issue. There was a reason why I was picking this one up. I don't exactly remember why.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to look it up real quick. You can go on to the next book. It's piquing my interest. Why? Because I was debating on if I should get it or not.
Yeah. So we finally have the long-awaited Robins number 1. This was the tournament that decided this one, right?
I'm excited for Stephanie Brown. That's all I have to say. Because we have so many. I have to get it. I'll finish that. Stephanie.
I'm not too excited about it because we've had a Robins book before, and this was the book that was in the tournament that was hacked to begin with. This book was probably always slated to come out.
It was already done.
They called it a round robin tournament to begin with when it's not a round robin tournament because they didn't play each other multiple times for victories because that's what a round robin is. I mean, you're talking to a tennis guy that runs tournaments every day and knows what round robin is, right? They had an elimination bracket. That's what it was.
Yeah. Round robins, multiple chances. Like you just shift to a lower bracket, right? And you try to fight your way back into it, basically.
Or you play multiple people, and then whoever say loses twice or loses 3 times is eliminated from the tournament, right?
Gotcha.
So that was bullshit. I still think that thing was all hacked. That's my opinion there. But I'll check out the series, though. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I think Tim Seeley's a great writer. I just wish that some of these other books had the opportunity to come out there.
Serenity does have a question. Wait, there's another Robins issue 1? I'm confused. They have a book now called Robins. Issue 2 came out this week. So digitally, it's ahead from what I could tell.
Yeah.
Like digitally, they've already released it 2 issues, and then like physically, it's finally coming out this week.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was confused by that at first too, because I was seeing that pop up, the Robins too. But yeah, physical tomorrow.
Oh, we just got
we got a super chat. So go ahead and take that chat.
One last thing about the show. I hope it doesn't botch the Doc X arc, because it's vital for teens to know about issues like compulsory hetero behavior and being outed. Also, the scenes with Nakia and Zoe still make me cry. Look, you're preaching to the choir. I hope Zoe plays a really big role in this book or in this show.
I hope so too. I hope all those supporting characters do, because in that book, those supporting characters really made that first volume, especially, right? I mean, Miss Marvel would not be Miss Marvel without those people in her life. So
yeah, no, for sure. I love all those characters.
They're integral to be in that show. They need to be in that show, and written the right way too. I think they'll do it well. I really do.
That said, the Doc X thing, I hated that arc.
So I liked it for Zoe. I didn't like Zoe, her as a character. I liked Zoe as what happened to her really interests me.
Right. I like the character stuff around it, but I hated that villain and I hated that story. So yeah.
So going back to Spider-Man, the reason why Jed McKay's writing this issue, Brant.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense now.
And then Spider-Man's Tough New Trainers, which is who we know they are, right? And then special installment, Amazing Spider-Man will debut a mysterious new villain called Obsidian Star. So there's a new villain in there.
Definitely could have a better name than that, but
Nice House on the Lake.
Obsidian Star. Yeah.
Obsidian Star. Whatever.
All right. So we get Dark Ages #3 coming out. Been a solid series so far.
Yep.
Issue 1 was great.
Yeah.
Issue 2 was okay. And I'm hopeful issue 3 is wonderful again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but plot will thicken a little bit, I think, in that third issue there.
Yeah. Then Nightwing #86, one of our favorite books. But is it still Fair State or
yes?
Yeah.
I think it's a Batgirl story, if I remember correctly. Okay. I don't remember how things ended, but I think the last issue was a very big Batgirl story.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Okay. And then finally, we have Superman, Son of Kal-El, #5. Tom Taylor was talking to Anderson Cooper recently.
Right? I'm ready for the kiss. I'm ready for the story. I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And technically, that came out today, but yes. Mm-hmm. So our viewers may have already read that, but don't spoil it for us.
It was brought up earlier in the show. Did you?
Oh, was it? I missed that.
So look forward to it. And then I'll get it tomorrow and obviously read it, and I'll probably talk about it the next day or whatnot. So, All right. So I guess that's it, right, guys? I think we're going to wrap it up. You guys have anything else that you want to say before we close out the show tonight?
Just that we actually did get over 500 backers as I've been sitting here. So I think we're up to like 504. Let's see. We're up to 504 backers. So again, our goal would be to get to 600 by the end. We have 2 days left, and Slice of Life. It's about an anime character comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. Other than that, I'll have my best comics of the week tomorrow, and look forward to a Young Justice review. Other than that, I have a lot of family stuff going on this week, so I'll probably be a little off the radar towards the end of the week, but I'll try my best to get things out as I can.
Also, guys, I just wanted to say this, just a reminder, next week there will be no show. It's going to be Thanksgiving week.
Which Brant wasn't on for this, so Brant,
yeah.
there's no show next
Brant,
week.
there's no next week, so you know. Just because there's a lot of holiday things going on.
Sure.
You know, kids don't have school and stuff, so there's all kinds of plans going on and stuff like that. I gotta get ready for family to come over, so we're gonna take the week off next week and enjoy the holiday, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. So, Brant, you have anything else to say?
Yeah, sounds good. We'll be back just in time for my Kickstarter to end.
There we go.
Be ending that
Perfect
week.
timing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, my Kickstarter again, which you can find at lastsimmerpress.com/dragon. It's a cyberpunk fantasy comic about a mercenary named Kenzo who is tasked with kidnapping a child that holds the secret that could shift the balance of power between two warring corporations, Akira style, Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, Tron, anything cyberpunk. If you enjoy that kind of stuff, you're going to love this one. So go check it out.
All right, guys. And then me, of course, I am getting my books later tomorrow because of that diamond debacle that happened. They are coming in tomorrow, but they won't be in until tomorrow afternoon. So it's just a matter of when I go to the shop. So with me doing my comic book haul, it might be tomorrow night or it might not actually be till Thursday. So we'll see. And of course, that puts a little bit of delay on my week itself. So just be prepared in case you are wondering where my videos are at. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching tonight. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for the comments. Thank you so much for the likes. And if you haven't given this video a like yet and you're still watching, go ahead and give it a like. Give it a thumbs up, of course. Hit the bell for notifications. If you haven't subscribed to Comic Book Weekly or Comic Book Corner 2.0, go ahead and do that right now. And follow us on our social media, which is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, YouTube. So, guys, thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Enjoy those comics, everyone. Good night.